We're live.
Hey, yeah, we're live. Hey there, Laker fans. Welcome to another episode of Lakers Detailed. My name, we're using a new platform, folks, so I'm getting a little used to this. I'm your host, Vinay, with my co host, Raj. Um, you guys can't see it on your side, but Raj and I are using a new platform to stream to YouTube, so I'm getting a little used to what the screen looks like, pulling up the chat here and whatnot. Uh, but I'm your host, Renee. This is my co host, Raj. We are on Lakers Detailed. Raj, the Lakers are on a 3 game losing streak. The last time we potted was before Christmas. I think it was after the Suns loss.
Mm.
You and I had a conversation that I shared with the timeline about what it would take for the Lakers. We were concerned about some of the data that we were seeing with LeBron back, and we had a conversation about what the team would have to go through in order for them to actually make a change. And I mentioned their record would have to be something like 4-6. You mentioned that the Lakers would have to hit like a 3 game losing streak, and lo and behold, here we are on Saturday night. The Lakers have um, they're on the heels of a 3 game losing streak. They lost to the Suns. They lose. They get embarrassed at home. The Rockets on Christmas Day,
hmm
um, and JJ Redick says that they're going to have an uncomfortable practice session, which is what we had today. We'll talk about his comments that we saw earlier today, and then we have you know some of the stuff that we heard after that, and then we have a game tomorrow against the Kings. Um, in between all of that, during the Houston game, we get Austin Reeves coming back, and Austin Reeves leaves at halftime as a result of what we find out later is a calf strain, which might keep him out for 4 weeks. At least a reevaluation period will be 4 weeks. So we'll
Yeah.
talk about that. Today, we're going to talk about a few different things. We're definitely going to talk about this civil war that's going on amongst the fan base. We'll talk a little bit about Austin, and then we'll talk about what we want to kind of see from this team, at least during this upcoming 4 week stretch that we don't have Austin, or at least until we get him back. But before we get into that, how are you doing, my friend?
I am doing well. Hopefully everyone had a Merry Christmas, is
Yes.
looking forward to the new year. Vinay, tweeted out that this is a very reflective time,
Very
for,
reflective.
for, for a lot of people. So able to reflect on the year. I was able to go to the Christmas game, which is something I was able to cross off a bucket list. That was extremely cool to be a part of. Game was not fun. Game was not enjoyable in terms of that, but cool to be in the building. I want to give like the LA crowd, Vinay, is ready to explode. Like the city is ready to get behind this team. They just have not given them the ammo recently to blow up. But there was a sequence in that game which ended with the LeBron pump fake step back corner three. I don't know if you remember this play, but it was back and forth. It was when Vando checked in and the game started to get, a little bit tighter. But very cool Christmas environment. So yeah, just looking forward to a little bit more holidays time. We have about a few more days before the new year kind of checks in. But you had even more interesting last few days. You were overseas in
Yes.
Italy traveling. Those who are lucky enough to follow along with that, it was awesome. So what was like your favorite part of that traveling?
Yeah, yeah. We were in Rome for 7 days. We went to
Oof.
Rome, we went to Milan, we went to Florence, and then we took a train from Milan, like a day trip that takes you up to St. Moritz, which is in Switzerland. It's like a 2 hour, 4 hour round trip, but it's a 2 hour train ride each way. The best part of the trip was definitely going to the Vatican. I went to the Vatican.
Mm,
I went to St. Peter's Basilica, um, and I got to see the inside. I'm a big, not a history buff, but I love to see like art and architecture and stuff like that in foreign
mhm.
countries. Um, that was genuinely awesome, and the weather was great. Walking around, learning all this stuff was great. The sheer size of these cathedrals, the churches were incredible. I got to see the Sistine Chapel. I've only ever seen that in school books and texts,
Yeah.
and being able to see that in person is pretty incredible. Different stuff that Michelangelo's drawn, statues, blah blah blah, all that sort of stuff. It was awesome. Food was great. People were great. Everything was great. I genuinely enjoyed it. highly recommend it for the folks who are ever able to go. Go to Rome, go see all the stuff that they have there. And like I said, I must have taken 1,000 pictures a day on Instagram. So I know it's following me. They were getting bombarded by like everything I saw. But a lot of people messaged me. They were like, "Bro, this is pretty awesome, the stuff that you're seeing." So it was fun, dude. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I told Vinay I lived vicariously through that because I was not able to go on those type of travels yet. But no, it looked awesome.
Yeah.
I shared this offline, but I think the Coliseum, that just was the most amazing
awesome.
thing I think I saw through that.
Yeah, just thinking about like the whole idea of, you know, just people fighting animals or fighting each other and all that sort of stuff, and just people being able to like watch it and how they set it up. Rod's actually asking here in the chat if I was able to climb to the Dome of St. Peter's. I wasn't able to climb to the Dome of St. Peter's. We just didn't have the time to do it. I did, however, climb Il Duomo in Milano. So I did do the one in Milan. I went to the rooftop of the big church that they have there, which was very cool too as well. When we went to St. Moritz up in Switzerland on that train ride, their lake, the St. Moritz Lake, was completely frozen. So I got to walk on like a frozen lake, which is, you know, I mean, I have to go to like the Midwest or something. I got to do that in the wintertime. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Playing the snow and stuff like that. So it was a lot of fun overall, the trip.
So went to Rome, did as the Romans do.
Did as the Romans do. Ate lots of pasta, lots of pizza. It was you know, I did all the stereotypical stuff that you'd expect. But I'm glad to be back. I got back on I went for 9 days total, but I was you know, stationary in Rome for about 7 days. I could not watch the Laker games. And it might have been a good thing that I couldn't watch Laker games because I came back on and not Christmas Day, Christmas Eve. And then I was looking forward to seeing all of our guys get back. I had a feeling Austin would come back and Luka would come back and Rui would come back for this Houston matchup. And I was sadly disappointed because we got our butts kicked by this Houston team. And this has, and then obviously Austin injury happens at halftime. And I feel like the Austin injury has now put like the entire like, first and foremost, everybody's in like grief. Like we're all sad. I think all Laker fans are sad right now because we're like, bro, Austin was the best part of the season. Get a breakout season from a guy that is very beloved. He's been with us the whole time. But the other side, after the grief, you know, like the 7 stages of whatever, like now that we're past the grief part, the anger part has kicked in. And our fan base is in a full-on civil war with each other. Obviously, I'm talking about like the Luka fans and the LeBron fans. There's a little bit of antagonizing that's happening between them. So I wanted to discuss that because I don't think it would be fair for us to just like not acknowledge what we're seeing on the timeline. Have you seen the stuff that's been getting done or being said?
It's hard to ignore. It feels like every kind of base has decided what works and what doesn't, right? And I think what has complicated things, to put it nicely, is the Lakers were good for a strong section of this season. They were 13-4 to start, I believe, when LeBron James returned, and that, you know, this isn't to blame LeBron for what has transpired since, but I think it's very easy for when fingers start getting pointed, those points become more and more personal, and they become more and more numbers that are driven that support my arguments. So, you know, it's very easy for LeBron's side to go, hey, Luka, you had 5 turnovers to start the game. And it's very easy for the Luka side to go, well, I just watched a compilation of you not rebounding for 10 minutes. And so it's very much a blame game, which is disappointing. And my God, the world works in funny ways, Vinay, because do we need those two on the same page more than ever?
More than ever.
So this is not really the way you want it to happen, but my God, this is what it's about, what's about to happen. So the fingers that are pointing from the respective bases, obviously this isn't happening to the actual people involved so far, but yeah, I think it's going to be interesting and they're going to have to figure it out. But yeah, it's definitely loud. There's a funny screenshot of someone going get LeBron off my team, and it's like the exact same.
And then the other guy's
Luka off my team. It's just, absolutely
It's
predictable.
the opposite. They're
Yep.
the opposite Abbeys too. It's like a Bron
Right.
fan singing the Luca
Right.
Abbey.
Ron and Luca Abby's kind of talking to each other,
Oh my
which is
god.
funny. But yeah, again, this is kind of expected. You have the Laker brand plus
Yeah.
Luca's brand plus LeBron's gigantic brand and stranglehold that he's had on the NBA for the
Yeah.
last X amount of years. And so I think this is expected. Again, winning solves a lot of this stuff, and losing breeds a lot of the negativity. It
Yeah.
just does. So we'll see. What are your kind of thoughts on this unbalance in the force of Lakers support? I guess to
Yeah.
put it nicely.
I think first and foremost, everybody is bummed out about Austin's situation. I think no matter what side of the conversation you are, everybody's bummed out for Austin because I think Austin was genuinely having a really great season. So nobody wants to see him get hurt, especially in a contract year, and for like the essentially he's had. Now, there's another thing that's also happening here. I'll get to the Luka LeBron thing first in a second. There's a thing that's happening here that both those sides of the fence are doing. They're like co-opting Laker fans on both sides as being part of like who's a victim to him, right? So like the example that I was gonna give, like these are just observations. So don't if you're on either side of this and you're listening to this, if you're a Luka fan, LeBron fan, I'm not like personally attacking either one of those guys. I'm just describing what I'm seeing on my timeline. Like what will happen is like Luka fans will be like, it's that they say the same exact thing. They'll say, I wish Luka hadn't been traded to the Lakers. Like Laker fans don't appreciate him.
Oh,
And I'll
yeah.
read that and I'll be like, no, we appreciate Luka. I don't know who's telling you we don't appreciate Luka, but we appreciate him.
Yeah.
But like I've also seen LeBron fans say the same thing, like, oh, Laker fans, oh, we wish LeBron had to come here. Laker fans don't appreciate LeBron. I'll be like, hold on, like we don't have a problem with LeBron. Like that's not what's going on. But what's happening is that argument that's being made is happening because they're upset at LeBron fans, but you're looping Laker fans in with it. And we're just like, hey, man, can we just win games and play good basketball? That sort of thing. And
Yeah.
so that's one thing that I've definitely noticed is happening. Everybody's bummed about Austin. People are co-opting Laker fans, just sprinkling us on like parsley as you know, people who hate their favorite player and that's something.
Yeah. What's funny though is like Austin can somehow, and to me this is a testament to him, right, as like
Yeah.
the player he is and what he's ascended to. Austin can live in both camps
He
somehow,
absolutely
right?
can.
And so I
Yeah.
think that's the most amazing part of this is that obviously the LeBron Austin connection has been documented throughout the last few years, right? Their connection, LeBron, propping Austin up, giving him his credit. But the Luka Austin thing that, Dave dropped a few weeks ago, like Austin gets to live in both of these camps
Yeah.
as, hey, I'm just a really freaking good player and I work with both of you and I'm putting up my numbers as I'm supposed to. I'm doing my job. And so him going out really, I think, again, just drives like this either. I think the Lakers are about to go through a very, very important stretch here because the teams they play aren't great. I mean, we play Detroit coming up here, but I think the schedule at least lightens a bit. But they're going to be tested pretty soon. But yeah, it's funny to watch. I mean, all these these what's like subtle shots being taken through the analysis. Somehow some Luka fans have decided to jump into the Michael Jordan LeBron debate and throw those into
okay. So
into
let me get to the second part. Okay, so we got past the lumping in Laker fans when we're not saying anything, and then the Austin thing. Okay, now so let's get to what's actually happening. These both sides. Okay, so I made the joke earlier offline to you that Luka and LeBron fans are the Spider-Man pointing at each other meme. Like that, they're quite literally exactly the same thing. And I'm sure if they hear this, they'll be, no, we're not like LeBron fans. Or LeBron fans are like, no, we're not like Luka fans. They're very similar, very similar. And the reason I say that is because as a Laker fan, we've seen what integrating LeBron fans is like, and now we're seeing what integrating Luka fans is like. But the folks that are most vocal to the Luka fans about how they should behave about this whole scenario are the LeBron fans who were here like a year ago. So like some of my favorite tweets that I've seen, like I've seen LeBron fans tell Luka fans like, "Hey, it's okay to be critical of your favorite player. Like it doesn't mean it's not a stain on your legacy, or it doesn't mean that like we hate your favorite player just because we're being critical of him having a bad game." And I can't stop laughing when I read that because I was just like, "That's what you guys are doing." When you guys came here, we were like, "Hey, Bron's got to shoot better, or he's got to pass, just whatever he had a bad game." So it's just funny to watch this cycle happen. And then the other thing that's happened between both these fan bases is they're weaponizing advanced analytics to make their cases behind around.
Right.
So, dude, they're taking net ratings, and I've seen so many net rating charts that I'll be like, bro, I'm like losing my mind. It'd be like, they'll take the net ratings and they'll do every version that has LeBron in it, and then they'll do each one that takes LeBron out, and they'll be like, "See, LeBron sucks," and I'll be like, "Dude, we can't not play LeBron. Like, you guys have to understand. We have to figure this out."
It's amazing. It's amazing.
And
I've
it's
seen
just like,
more. I've seen more net rating charts from like different places. It's the most
yeah,
amazing thing. There are like so many sites now that do it. I think Data Ball R
dude,
is
data
kind of the one
ballers, yeah.
which has kind of propped up
Oh my
the thing you're
god.
talking about, where it's like Luca, Austin, and Rui, and then it's Luca, Austin, and LeBron. And that chart is like
Oh
supposed
my
to
god.
signify that
And then
LeBron's out. Yeah.
and so then that stuff will get shared, those screenshots will get shared, and then that snowballs into like a conversation where like, so we made the joke, right, last time we did it. I said, "Hey, what's going to happen you and I said, I said to you last time we did the pod, I said everybody's thinking that, oh, that when Braun comes back, the issue is going to be Austin FC versus LeBron FC." And I remember I told you, right? I said, "What happens when it's not like that?" You said, "What?" And I said, "What if it's Rui FC and Austin FC and Luca FC versus LeBron FC, or like different factions?" So like all these net rating things have like resulted in like now people are like, "Well, Rui's better than LeBron now." Like there's the LeBron, and it's just so much stuff that's happening. But by far, the funniest interactions that I've seen happen are LeBron fans. They go and they tell Luca, "Hey, dude, like y'all need to understand, Luca hasn't won a championship yet. He's
Right.
made it to the
Yeah.
finals. That's cool, but he doesn't have that pedigree yet. Like he hasn't reached the heights that he has to. This is the GOAT. He's played for, he's the GOAT. Like it's him and Michael Jordan. Like so. You guys need to understand that you don't know what it takes, Jessica." And Luca fans are just like, "Bro, we don't give a shit. It's 2026, bro. We don't care." And I'm like, "Bro, we're never going to come to a resolution between these two fan bases because it's like, bro, y'all don't care, dude. Y'all absolutely don't care about this." And so we're laughing because, in the end, basketball still has to get played. I think there's passionate fans on both sides.
Of course. Yeah.
But in the reality is you can be passionate on both sides, but I mean, Luka and LeBron they have to figure it out, like especially with Austin out. So this civil war is happening on Lakers Twitter. We predicted it because we knew that Braun would take some time to ramp up, and we were right, Raj. Like you and I both said, as long as the Lakers continue winning, doesn't matter what the data looks like. You're not going to see a change, and with the starting lineup. And there's people in my mentions, the data dorks is what I like to call them, but they were like, "Well, the sample size is not that big." I was like, "All right, well, I'm watching like almost 2 games worth of basketball now, and I know what I'm looking at, and this doesn't look very good, and it's going to catch up to them." And now here we are, 20 games, almost 30 games into the season, and now the Lakers are potentially changing their starting lineup. We'll see what JJ decides to do with it, and they have to find solutions. They are dead last in the past 2 weeks, almost dead last in defense, and it's not acceptable for the Lakers.
Well, again, these are solutions. These are solutions that you would hope to find while winning, right? You'd rather find while winning. And one of my concerns now, Renee, as we step into the reality of the situation and not, online Twitter fights or arguments, is this team to me shifts into survival mode.
Yeah.
Like this is a team that has shown to be very top heavy. I think even the roster build of this was putting a lot of people who need to be spoon fed baskets, to be spoon fed shot creation, and you take a huge lump out of it with Austin out. And so, will you see the change you want, or like JJ, I think mentioned that 250 minutes is kind of his bar
Right.
of that's a good sample. The starting lineup, I don't think will not reach that because LeBron has played X amount of games, and so I think they played like 85 minutes, I think so far or something like that, which is not much, which doesn't obviously meet the criteria, the threshold that he mentioned. But now I think you're just gonna see a bunch of jumbled lineups. Vando has re-entered into the equation, and I think he's an important piece here. But yeah, I guess we can go with that. Vinay, who do you think starts now with now Austin out? Does just Marcus Smart go right into that spot? You just keep everything else the same. You keep Rui, LeBron, and Ayton around Luka.
Yeah.
Or do you kind of do you mix it up?
Yeah. Before I get to that,
Okay.
I do want to shout out our guy George James Santiago. He's been a member of the Lakers Detailed. He's part of the Detailers Club of Lakers Detailed. He's going on 10 months, so I wanted to shout him out. If you feel like if you'd like to be a part of the Detailers Club, you can always go to YouTube and join the Detailers Club. I'll add you to the Discord, the Detailers Club. That's usually where we have our daily conversations about the Lakers. And, it's just a way to think of it as a group chat just for people who are like really into the Lakers the same way I am. I'm in that chat. Raj is in that chat. We talk about the Lakers stuff all the time in there as different news and other stuff too, as well as basketball news drops. So I just want to shout at him. And then the other person I want to shout out, Art and Kim from YouTube with a $20 super chat. I deeply appreciate you, Art, for sending that $20 super chat. He actually asked a question that I just want to get to before we transition to the next topic. He's asking a question of a soul searching question that he doesn't like AR. He loves AR. Yeah, okay. So you definitely got me with the first part of that sentence because I didn't know where it was going to go. But he loves AR. But his question is that talking heads keep stating that you can never win a championship with two negative dominant players. And then his question is, can you objectively say that Austin should be traded for a defensive player? We appreciate the question and the $20 super chat. So I will say, I'll take a first stab at this, Raj. I will say, I don't think Austin is first of all, I don't think Austin is a negative defensive player. I think that is it's like a kind of a lot, a heavy direction for people to go in when they talk about Austin. I think if you actually go watch like Austin's defense against Jamal Murray, Austin's defense against Anthony Edwards, they didn't want to attack Austin. Like they were trying to find other guys on the Lakers team to go attack. Like that Houston game, they weren't trying to attack Austin the entire game. They were kind of trying to pick on Luka the entire game. And so I wouldn't say he's like a negative defender. So I think that's one thing that I would like immediately push back on, that he's a negative guy. The other part I push back on is he like a dominant guy? Like Austin has shown that he can play off ball, he can play on ball, he can play with one superstar, he can play with two superstars. So he's also another guy that's not going to force his game on top of everybody too as well. Which leads me to the question that he asked: should Austin be traded for a defensive player? I don't think you have to trade him for a defensive player. I think the same way Kyrie was really good next to Luka, in the same way that Jalen Brunson, even before Jalen Brunson bloomed into what he was in New York, was with Luka. I think Austin can be that offensive player next to Luka too as well. So I would push back on that, and I would say no. I don't think Austin has to be traded for a defensive player.
Yeah, thank you for the super chat. By the way, that was it's very that's awesome. Yeah, everyone knows how I feel about Austin Reeves, so I was gonna say he shouldn't be traded. I think that's what he meant by the question, right? Two negative defensively dominant offensive players. I'm with you. I don't think you trade him for a defensive player. I think there's been some conversations of, well, do you trade him for like a Jaden McDaniels, right? You get the drop off on the offensive production. But I think Renee, this is not just a preference thing. Just we've watched Luca now for however many time, how much he's been here. He needs another perimeter
Mhm.
creator next to him. Like he needs a guy that can not only score on his own, a guy that Luca can trust to be like, hey, this guy can run the offense while I'm on the floor, and I can trust him to do that. And Austin's reached that place, right? And that's a very rare. Jalen Brunson, I think, reached it to an extent, but Austin's obviously, I think, reached that now. Where I think that's part of why those two are so close, right? I think that's part of why Luca's and Austin's friendship has blossomed to where it is. He's a guy that Luca fully trusts in. And now, does that mean Luca doesn't come out and take some terrible shots? Absolutely, or kind of gets in this his own headspace. But yeah, I just don't think that's the route, and I don't think that's the route the Lakers are going either. I think the Lakers are going to try to lock up Austin for however long they can, and kind of build a team around that. Again, I mean, this is not take down LeBron, but I think the process of what that looked like was the first 17 games, right? It was two guards who I think they still Vinay lead the league in scoring as a duo. I have to
Yeah, I
check if
wouldn't be
that's
shocked.
still
Yeah.
the case. But at least, when Austin was playing, they were averaging around 61 points per game. That would lead the league, and kind of having all these other try hard players next to them, try hard in a in a good
Positive way.
sense,
Yeah.
positive, connotation. But yeah, I don't think we've reached that point yet, and I think Luca needs another top offensive player next to him, or else it's just too easy for teams to load up on him
Yeah.
and all that. So yeah, I think Austin's gonna be here. I think you can build around an Austin Luca, backcourt going forward.
Yeah, yeah. I would say like if Austin was one of those guys who wasn't giving any effort on defense, like he was just like, nah, I'm not just not going to try. Then I would be like, okay, maybe there's a little bit of concern about him. But I've seen him play with defensive effort. Can he check the best perimeter offensive player on the team, and you still get the 30 a night? I don't know if you can get that out of Austin because I think the wear and tear of that sort of stuff, it kind of is what it is. Um, but I think certainly. I mean, the question of can you win a championship or can you contend? Can you compete? I mean, they're competing now, like they're contending now.
Yeah,
When he's healthy, the tape shows it, the data shows it. Like the only reason you haven't been able to see it more is because Austin's been hurt. So like, if he's not hurt, what does it look like? It'd be interesting to see. But let's go back to the topic at hand. Obviously, Austin's going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks. At
yeah,
least the reevaluation period is going to be 4 weeks. So we won't see him until end of January. The Lakers have to figure out what's going on. And JJ had a team meeting where, by his words, they covered. There was a lot of feedback. Like he listened to the players talk about what they need, and he talked to the players about their defensive assignments and like their role clarity, because apparently there's some confusion about that. And it sounds like the defense is going to be a point of focus because that's really what's been slipping a lot for over the past 2 weeks. They've gone from pre-LeBron, they were like the 14th, they were like league average defense, and they have like cratered to even lower since LeBron's been back. Um, Actually, before we talk about the moves forward, we talked about the net rating. We joked about like Luka and LeBron fans arguing with each other. Before we talk about what's going to be the adjustment with Austin out, what do you
yeah.
think has happened? I'm not. It doesn't have to be the correct answer, but what do you think has happened that has caused the Lakers to go in this direction? Because there's been like I've had not arguments, but I've had like folks tell me that well, the Lakers are playing poorly because their offense has gotten worse, and like my argument's been like their defense has gotten significantly worse. Like it's gotten so bad that there's no amount of offense that can outweigh how bad their defense has been. So like this 13 game stretch that Braun has been back, and I'm juxtaposing it with Braun coming back, not because I want to blame Braun, but just because that's like the most major thing that's happened, that you're reintegrating a guy of Braun stature, not a random role player. But what do you think has happened, basketball wise?
Yeah, I mean, a few things. Obviously, I think the injuries came in, right? Luca and Austin both missed different parts of the season. LeBron's been out here and there. Marcus Smart missed a bunch of weeks. But I think honestly, Vinay, the return of LeBron has again. This was a concern last season as well with the starters. That starting lineup as a unit is extremely slow. I think it is the slowest starting lineup in the league. And regular season LeBron, however you want to kind of frame this, and I think both of us are in a understandable state of this is
Mhm.
kind of how a 41-year-old will play basketball a lot of times. Like I think the offensive stuff is ahead of the defense, which makes sense. But when you juxtapose that with Luka Doncic's defense, when you put that with Rui Hachimura's defense, when you put all those things together, I think it's just created a very slow team. That starting lineup does not create turnovers. The turnovers they create are a lot of gambles that when it doesn't work, then you give up all these shots.
Mhm.
Luca gambles a ton on the defensive end, and it works sometimes, and a lot of times it's Reed Shepard getting to wherever he wants and getting a floater, and that happens again and again and again. There's a clip flying around about LeBron not jumping to rebound with Steven Adams and uh Amin Thompson, which again in a vacuum, you're like, makes sense. Like it's Christmas Day. There's months left in the regular season.
Mhm.
LeBron's not gonna go and jump with Tari Eason every single time and bump with Steven Adams. But I think that domino effect of Rui also doesn't do that to a very extensive rate. Rui also doesn't touch the basketball for games on end. I don't know if you saw Rui talk at practice today, Vinay, but I think Rui was asked, "How do I stay in rhythm?" He's like, "You watch the game, like I don't touch the ball, like and
Yeah.
right." And so I think 8-2. This is a point that you made before the season, but you got to feed your bigs to keep them engaged on the other side. That's basketball at any level. That's
Yeah.
at 24-hour fitness. If you have a guy that's banging down low every time you throw him the ball,
Yeah.
feed him a bone on like, hey, here's a post up. Even if it doesn't work,
Yeah.
like you
He just
touch
has
the
to touch
ball,
the ball. Yeah.
yeah. Aiden will go quarters without touching the ball, and this is
Mhm.
while making every shot that he touches. He'll be 4 for 4 of an A third quarter. It's like where's these shots for DeAndre Ayton? I think all that has kind of led to a team that's extremely slow, that has built enough of a cushion in the regular season to where they feel, there's like we don't have it against the Clippers tonight. We don't have it against the Clippers tonight. Like
Mm.
we're gonna get blown out by 25. We're on the road in Phoenix. Don't really feel like matching Dylan Brooks's psychotic energy tonight.
He's insane, bro.
He's,
He's
he's
sorry,
n-
sidebar Raj. He
yeah,
has like made his entire personality to be the Joker to LeBron's Batman. And I'm
yeah.
like, bro, what is up with you, dude? Like, what did Bron do to you? Because it can't be just basketball, really. It's gotta be deeper than that.
No, for sure. Yeah, Dylan Brooks has absolutely taken on, and I think there's a ceiling to that, right? I think
Yeah.
like that works up until the playoffs. But for a Suns team that like this is all gravy for them, like they weren't
Yeah.
supposed to be this,
Yeah.
right? Colin Giuseppe has taken the step. Devin Booker is re-establishing himself as one of the top players in the league. Dylan Brooks came in and was like, no, F that. Like I watched y'all play last year. You guys didn't give a crap night to night. We're not doing that when I'm on the
Mm.
team. And so I'm not trying to pump up Dylan Brooks, but I think the Lakers need something like that,
Yeah.
right? Some dude that comes and goes, no, it's not okay that a team comes in and punches us in the mouth
Hmm.
in the first quarter, and that's what Houston did. But yeah, I think all those things when they have kind of included, and I'm more concerned with the offense than I think this is a team that feeds off their offense, and then uses that energy to give enough on the defensive end. All those things have led to a really just slow team that's lethargic and that is very easy to scout.
Mm.
And so you put all that together, and it's a team that's playing extremely poorly. Now the Sacramento Kings will make you look good, but yeah, we'll see. What about you? What's standing out from the film from you?
Yeah. So first and foremost, I 100% agree with the slowness. I think the defensive foot speed of that trio of LeBron, Rui, and Luca is bad. Like the Lakers are trying to compensate. I think what's happened is the Lakers are trying to compensate by allowing Luca and LeBron, or I mean, maybe allowing everybody to essentially switch because they're all same size guys. We've talked about this before, where we think that the starting lineup because of the starting lineup, it's encouraging them to switch because of the group that they're using. Because
we-
there's no. Go
Can we
ahead.
focus on that real quick?
Yeah.
I just want to. Do you think? Because I want to ask JJ about this when
Yeah.
he's in a better mood. But but do you think this is JJ going? Like, is this being taught of okay, any screen at any
I know
point
what you want to
of the
ask.
switch,
Do you
right?
think JJ is telling them that they should switch those? Is that
Well,
what you want to know?
I think he's telling the switch. I'm not sure some of these are deserving of a
Yeah.
switch. But I'm wondering, is that schemed? Is that it doesn't matter what screen? Because Jabari Smith set like 10 fake screens and the Lakers switched all of them and just gave Kevin Durant, Luka Doncic on a platter and said, here you go. I was wondering, do you think is that coached of, hey, we're just going to switch everything to mitigate any point of attack advantage? Or is this the Lakers going, I could switch here because it's the easiest thing for me to do personally as the on-ball guy?
I think it's the second part. I think when you watch the tape on the switching happening, it is very clear that there are specific individuals. If you want to see who it is that's doing it, you have to go. I'm not saying you, Raj. I'm telling the people who are watching. You got to go watch the tape because I'm not going to do it. Because if I go and I tell you who's the culprit, who are the Laker players that are notorious for just saying, just take this switch, then everybody's going to get mad at me. So y'all can go watch it and figure it out yourself. But I don't think, personally, just based on watching it, I don't think JJ is telling these guys to switch all these screens. I think what's happening is that these guys don't want to fight over screens. And some of them, they're not even fighting. They don't, like you said, they don't require any fighting over. They're just not doing them. Like they just don't want to put any effort. They like kind of see the screen coming in advance. And then they're like, yeah, it just switches. Like we don't have, it's the first quarter. It's like the second possession. Go ahead and switches. Like Luka opened the Houston game. Luka opened having to defend Kevin Durant and then Tari Eason because they switched all those. And Houston was like, yeah, we're just going to keep attacking Luka. Luka stopped. Like Durant missed his first shot. Tari Eason misses his first shot, but the Lakers don't defensive rebound behind him. And they end up getting offensive rebound scores. Just to say, back to the screening part, I don't think that's being coached because some of the screens that are happening don't make any sense. Like, perfect example. One that had me very pissed off as I was watching the game. Of the many things that pissed me off about that game, there is a Vando Ayton screen and handoff that happens. Vando was guarding Reed Shepherd, and Alperen Sengun was guarding DeAndre Ayton. And Alperen Sengun comes to screen for Reed Shepherd, and Vando takes a switch. He doesn't fight to not allow that switch to happen. He doesn't jump the screen. He doesn't press Reed Shepherd to try and force him to like kind of move away from the screen a little bit. He doesn't do anything. He just kind of anticipates the screen coming, and as soon as he sees it coming, they switch. And now you have DeAndre Ayton all the way out on the perimeter, and Reed Shepherd can just blow by him because DeAndre has to respect his ability to shoot the ball, and Reed's able to drive by him. Nobody helps. Vando actually turns his back to the entire play, so he's not even in a position to like help on the drive off of Alperen Sengun. So like, again, I don't know. I don't think that's coached. I don't think at any point JJ is saying, yeah, just switch the screen. Like in a scramble or something like that, then okay, I get it. That kind of stuff can happen. But like these are just basic one-to-one, like end of game mismatch hunting. You know this screen is coming from this specific guy because that's who they want to get. And you saw that happen with Luka. So I think it's a bunch of different things. I think it's individual player laziness that's causing that to happen. But I also do think that the starting lineup, because you're choosing to start those three guys with each other, they all somehow telepathically just say, he's the same size as me. Like, we'll just switch this. And I don't think that's good. I think that's bad. And that leads to the bad defensive foot speed thing.
Yeah, there was a play where I don't remember who was guarding KD, but I don't know if it was Luka or Rui, but they just, they died on a very fake screen, and DeAndre Ayton ended up on Kevin Durant, and KD just one dribble pull up three. His thing he's been doing since 2007, like the same exact shot that he's been hitting. You can see Ayton going like, "Hey, like what are we doing? Like how is that the scheme here?" And I think this is the guy that it hurts. I think it hurts Ayton JJ mentioned, I forgot when, that there's been so many lineup combinations that's kind of been one of the reasonings for this. But to your point, Vinay, this is a starting lineup that is returning like from last season, other than DeAndre Ayton in the middle.
Mhm.
But other than him, Jackson Hayes did not play on Christmas. You mentioned that as well.
Mhm.
So Lakers went to Maxi Kleber,
Mhm.
and then scrapped that very quickly and decided to just go small ball with Vando at center. But yeah, I think defensively that they just seem so disconnected. And I think teams know that, number one, we can run on this team. And number two, we can offensive rebound on this team. And so teams come in crashing the glass hard, especially from the corners. And then they run on all of our even makes teams
Mhm.
run. I forgot who shared this clip, but someone did, where I think off a make the Clippers got or the Clippers or whoever or the Suns got a kind of
Oh, Devin
transition.
Booker. Yeah.
Yeah, he got a transition bucket off a make, and so I think teams know that they can run on us, and they can, which again it just goes back to this the slow, like moving starting lineup
Mhm.
that I think I said on, I forgot which pod we did, that it would take 3 to 4 losses
Yeah.
in a
You said 3
row.
losses in a row. Yeah.
I was not hoping for that, but this is kind of what we've come
Yeah.
to. And I think I said it had to be 3 or 4 bad losses, which again they've lost by 20 plus every single
Yeah.
time now, and so that fills in the criteria. I still don't know, Vinay, how you sell Rui Hachimura. Like, this is, you know what I mean? Like, because I think once you do this, you've put this on. Blame Rui specifically, but I think Rui will feel that way, right?
If
He,
I think the
humanly.
perception will certainly be that if Rui gets moved out of the lineup, starting lineup, everybody, fans and media
Yeah, the
folks
conversation.
alike,
Mhm.
will just be like, "Oh, Rui, like finally, Rui was finally taken out." And yeah, I would say it's probably not fair because Rui's been, at least until Braun returned, like Rui's been fantastic. Um, I think that is certainly one of those things that's affected this team. Like, it's very clear that this starting group and the athletic ability of the starting group, the foot speed of the starting group, and I will add one other term: the care and effort, which is a
Mm,
term that JJ used. The effort from this starting group, though that trio, again, not an indication of who they are as players or their ability. Like, I know Luca walks in and averages 35 a night. I know what Braun is capable of when he's on. So I'm not talking about that in aggregate, but what we're seeing, that care and effort from that group is just not there. And that's very, very tough to play through, especially when you start games off without any care and effort in regards to that. So I certainly think that's one of the things that has happened. Like, since Braun has returned, like now I'll be a little more direct about the Braun thing. I think the expectation, I know I certainly had this expectation. A lot of people are saying, well, Braun comes back, he's going to F everything up, is basically what everybody was saying. This was a thing for a week before Braun came back. They're like, Austin's rolling, Luca's rolling. Now Braun's going to come back and he's going to want his touches. He's going to mess it up. Now, that hasn't happened necessarily the way that people described it was going to happen. But Braun coming back, is the hierarchy has now gotten pushed down. So when Rui comes out and says, well, I need some sort of touches in order to get the ball, like, I don't think Austin has been affected by LeBron. And I don't think Luka has been affected by LeBron. I do think maybe Aiden and maybe Rui, because naturally you get pushed down in the hierarchy of who's taking the shot on this possession, can tend to happen. But the one thing I think that everybody thought that would work itself out is Braun would find a way to integrate himself offensively. And I would like to say, for the most part, Braun has. Like, he's not stepping on people's toes to get his points or get his possessions and
sure.
all that sort of stuff. The one part that I think that people thought would happen, but has not happened, and this is me included, and this is my opinion, is that I thought that Braun, 15 games into the season, sitting on the bench, getting firsthand view. You see Luka averaging 35. You see Austin averaging 28. Maybe my expectation was Braun would see that and be like, hey, look, I'll get my points when I get them. I can just help them out on the defensive side. I don't need to worry about the offensive stuff because these guys are rolling. I'm gonna, I'll help rebound here, or I'll help with some of the free safety stuff that we do on the defense. I don't think that has happened to the degree that I thought it would have happened. And I know
Yeah.
Braun is ramping up, so I don't think it's fair to be like, oh, I expected him to do it game one. But we're now 13 games, 14 games into it. I thought it would have get to a level where like we could really see Braun's impact on that part. He still averages shots and all that sort of stuff. And I think that is something that has definitely happened. Like I think that is an expectation that I had. I think Laker fans had that. Luka fans had that. I think Braun fans probably had that too as well. They probably had an expectation of, hey, he's going to be. We make the joke that it's going to be Draymond, but like he's clearly able to do even more than what Draymond can do. But that hasn't happened, and it's not all on him. But when you add a guy like that who's going to play 35 minutes and have lineups dedicated to him, that's something that the Lakers probably weren't ready for. And so I think those two things, that foot speed, that thing that we discussed, and then just Braun not necessarily being locked in defensively the way we thought, or maybe shifting a little bit more defensively that we thought he would be. I think that's something that has happened. And so I'm curious to see now that Austin's gone, if that changes, if that improves for everybody across the board.
Yeah, and it's gonna have to, right? And I think look, basketball is it's not a math equation, right? You don't get to take energy points from offense and put
Absolutely.
them toward defense, right? But I'm with you. I think the logic stands at least that hey, LeBron has two dudes averaging 30, really does not need to exert a ton because I think if you ask Braun, he's talked about like one of the most taxing thing is bringing the ball up the court, and
Mm-hmm.
right, like that's a taxing thing to do nightly. It adds up. Doesn't look like a lot, but going by him, like that's a taxing thing to have to be the guy that's the playmaker every time down. And again, and two guys that are averaging 30, we got that covered.
Yeah, we got the cover for you. Yeah.
Yeah, to that extent. And defensively, that is, I think it's logically very easy to look at this Lakers roster and go, their holes are on the other side of the floor. That's where all the weaknesses lie, right? As much as I like Jake LaRavia, and I think Ayton's done well on the defensive end, Marcus Smart has been banged up. I think he's been pretty close, although the shooting is a little concerning to me. I'm not sure this is the pod for that. Vando shooting, we know what it is. But defensively, like they need more there, and just has not happened. And I think LeBron, again, this is not to blame him, but I think when his car turns off, the whole engine shuts down.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like because Luka's defensive, like his defensive car, it's only able to rev up to a certain amount, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, like I think it's very easy to look, and like Luka's, I think defensive effort has dropped as well. Not sure the exact amount is dropped, but there's definitely a drop from the honeymoon regular season start to
Absolutely.
where he is now. But it's not drastic. Like Luka was getting beat off the dribble then, he gets beat off the dribble now.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was just a little bit more chaotic frenzy recovery behind him than it is now. And I think all these things add up. I think Ayton's still engaged defensively, but I think it's just human instinct for a guy who does not touch the ball for as long as he does now to, sometimes walk, sometimes wallow, sometimes not, crash the glass, and all these things kind of compound. But I think it starts with, I started this with Dylan Brooks, but I think the Lakers need somebody, and I would expect Marcus Smart to start in Austin's place if he's healthy. And I think Marcus is a good, jump starter for this. Although his offense is in a hell of a roller coaster to hop onto.
Yeah.
But I think at least defensively, he brings just a level of intensity that the team can ride in terms of the wave that's needed. But yeah, I think all those things have added up. And like teams go through flows, ebbs and flows. The online screaming doesn't really match the record, which I find the most interesting part of all this.
So the one thing that all the folks that are watching should know is Raj listens and reads to a lot of like everything is on fire and like there's a meteor about to hit the Lakers Earth, and he'll like step back and he's always just like, yeah, but we're 19-10, like we're 10 games over 500. Like we shouldn't be so panicked about this. But yeah, go finish your thought.
No, it's funny because again, just being blessed to be around the team, and it's just the online, I it's cool because I get to experience both, right? I'm online, I'm on Twitter, I'm engaging, and everyone's like, "Oh, we got to trade everybody. Team's going nowhere. They're gonna get swept out the first round." And then like doesn't really match the vibes, doesn't
Of the team
match
itself.
the team itself, doesn't match the record, doesn't
Yeah.
match where they are in the standings. Brooklyn just blew out the Minnesota Timberwolves tonight.
Yeah.
The Utah Jazz, excuse me,
Yeah, the Jazz beat the Spurs.
Jazz beat the Spurs. Orlando Magic beat the
The
Denver
Nuggets.
Nuggets.
Yeah.
And so the Cavs are 17-16. The Warriors are 17-16. Like I'm just like reality doesn't match the fire burning that's going on, and
Yeah.
I'm not excusing the concerns that this team has. I'm just saying that like just because online screaming doesn't really match like what's actually the reality of the situation, which to me, Renee, this is I don't know if you agree or not, but to me this is a like this team is good. Now are they great?
Yes.
Who knows? Like
Yeah.
that's for later on. But this is a good team that has real holes as most good teams do. And do
Yeah.
they have some extreme ones for sure? But yeah, I think the screaming from the top of the cliff that we're about to fall when you're way behind the cliff on a bunch of land. Like, no, you're not about to fall. You are 10 steps away from being even close to falling off. But
Yeah.
in any case, yeah, so I just find all that extremely interesting. I don't know where I'm going with this rant, but yeah, I guess I'm tired, Renee, of the online every day trade everybody, everyone sucks,
Yeah.
and things like that. But
Yeah. No, I think it's been interesting to watch. Just kind of, there hasn't been too many reasons to be upset about. Like, you're always gonna have that. You win 3 games and you'll get that one game where you lose. It's super annoying to lose that game or whatever. And it's obviously this is on the heels of a 3-game losing streak, so people are going to be a little bit more upset.
sure,
But I think it's just one of those things where like fans are trying to. It's an NBA thing, Raj. I won't get deeply philosophical in it, but like we've almost been conditioned to react more to the negative stuff than we have to like the
100%.
positive stuff. And I think what you see more, what you see happen more often than not is that like, I'm just gonna say it like in a very nice way, like the dopamine hit that you get from a Laker win doesn't compare to the
It's not the
dopamine hit
same.
of being negative about the Lakers. And I think not Laker fans, NBA fans, have become very addicted to the dopamine hit of negativity. Like that's why you see so many, um, what's it called? Like NBA Hate Central, Brick
Mm,
Center. Like you
right,
see
right.
like these low light accounts, like you see them become so popular because there's like this weird dopamine hit people get from like trashing other players. Like, so I'll give you. We joked about the Luka versus LeBron thing, and we keep saying it to everybody. It's just like y'all can say whatever you want about each other. Like Luka fans, you can say what you want about LeBron. LeBron fans, you can say about Luka. I'm sorry, both of those guys are under contract, and we need them to play well. Like they need to
Right.
figure it out. Like we don't have a choice. You know what I'm saying? Like you guys might not like it. Like people are like, oh my god, LeBron's out. We have to suffer through Rui Hachimura. Well, oh well. Like that's what we have to do. Like he's on the team, so we need something out of him, right? And to the best that's realistic to his ability. And so I think there's just like a weird that culture is pervaded too much in Lakers, and that I hope as a fan base we eventually get to a point where we're not like that. But people are human; can't tell them how to fan, and we're not here to tell you guys how to fan. Um, but I was
From
gonna say back to the basketball, like the on court stuff, like the starting group. I think at some point it's gonna get.
Sure.
My question is this, Raj, like where I genuinely had the expectation, just me personally, I had the expectation that of what I said, that LeBron would see that, yo, I got 2 30-point guys any night. I can take a step back. For years, I have been being told, written in the media from words, Rich Paul, whoever it is, that LeBron wants to hand the keys over off to Anthony Davis. So he doesn't have to do so much. He can be the offensive hub. LeBron can just play off of him. And the thing that's been hard for me to kind of put together is you have that now, not in just one guy, but a second guy. You have two guys who are willing to take that burden off of you. And so again, I don't want to put it on just LeBron, but he is a max salary player on this Lakers team, so it's like hard to not have this conversation with him. And we can't bench LeBron, right? Like you're not going to bench him, and I'm not saying we should, but you're never going to do that. JJ's not doing that.
No.
So how do you like? What does that look like? Is it just like so today? JJ had a film session and he did practice with him, and he said defense was the defensive fundamentals with them. Right? Is it as simple as just saying, "Hey, Bron, we need you to lock in a little bit on the defensive side"? Like, is it as simple as that, or does it have to be something more drastic?
Yeah, I mean, I think they have like again, you're not going to be able to. Obviously, your learning never stops, but you're not going to be teaching LeBron at this
No,
time,
absolutely
right?
not.
This is
Yeah, he
yeah, like this is
is.
not a teaching moment. I guess I think this is a reminder moment, right? And I think this has to be internally motivated, team wide, right? It's not just LeBron either. I think this has to be internally motivated, and I think the Lakers came out with that type of motivation to start the year. I think there was some, hey, LeBron's going to be out X amount, right? They're saying we're not going to be able to survive. Like there's a survival mode that gets ticked on. Like, hey, we need to win these games, and they did. They won the games that they're supposed to. Even when Luka was out, Austin would be able to take over. When Austin was out, Luka was able to take over. Yada yada. I think that's what's going to have to step up now. And again, I think it's very tough. And these aren't. We had this conversation I think last year, but like what's fair and what's needed are two totally different things.
Absolutely, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Right. And so what's fair to a 41-year-old is not anchor or be one of the best help side defensive dudes and be a contact rebounder. What's needed on this team is exactly that. This is a team that's built offensively lenient. That's also built very much with a lot of players that rely on shot creation, right? Is it fair for Luka to average 38 a game? I don't know. This is what he seems like he wants to do. This is
Mhm.
also kind of the roster that's built. No Austin Reeves. Do you think this Luka Doncic offense is changing with Austin out?
Nope.
It's going to be pretty similar. I think LeBron's plate gets larger, and we'll see how he carries that on a night-to-night basis. I think LeBron's ceiling does not change, but I think the night-to-night stuff in A is where the carrying gets more and more difficult. The more you kind of put on his plate, but yeah, and again, I think these are internal problems that are solvable right now.
Mhm.
Like in terms of you can beat the Kings at home, you can beat Memphis that's coming in on a back to back. You can beat, these teams that are kind of more in this fluctuation. Very quickly on the doom and gloom stuff that you were kind of. I think if you polled Laker fans and you asked them like what the difference in record is between us and Houston, I would love like to know what they think it is.
Oh yeah. You know what the funny part is? I'm
Yeah.
friends with Houston fans,
Yeah.
and they don't think that they're contenders because they think their offense isn't going to be able to like last.
Right.
Like they're like, bro, we all we have is Kevin Durant. Like
Right.
we can't score in these tight games, and I don't think they have a good record in the clutch,
No, they don't.
like we do. But they're like, no, but we can defend, and we'll make every game a rock fight. So it's super interesting that we are on the opposite side. Oh, we could score with anybody, but we can't defend for Jack, and then we
Right.
run into that team.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
They
but
have,
yeah,
they have the same record, by the
perception would
way.
be completely perception would probably be complete opposites. These guys are contenders, and we're ass, closer to ass.
Lakers have one less loss than Denver. I mean, one more loss than Denver.
Yeah,
But like the narrative does not feel that way at all. It feels
yeah,
like Denver is, kicking butt in the regular season. Cam Johnson when I think he's hurt right now, but Jokic has Jokic is again the best player in the league by a large
Mhm.
mile. Jamal Murray has returned to Jamal Murray. We have one less loss. We have one more loss than the Nuggets. Again, I'm not saying this to throw away the Lakers' problems because we just went through an hour of this, but I think this is a team that's good, and this was the excitement, right? Vinay, when LeBron was returning, if we can go back 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whenever it was,
Mhm. Mhm.
the excitement we had on this show, we're like, hey, this is a good team. They're 13-4. They're getting an All NBA player from last season
Mhm.
back, who also fills every need that they had,
Yeah.
like all the holes that they had at that time. He fills those, right? Lakers struggle with defensive rebounding. Come in 250-pound LeBron. Lakers struggle in transition. They need a little bit. LeBron transition player comes in. They need a defensive mind out there. LeBron comes in and kind of can do that. And I think it has not been as clean
Mhm.
as you would hope. I don't want to put too much into the 5-man lineup or 3-man lineups as it's been out there. But I think if you add last year's stuff into this year's, I think there are some concerns. But again, now Austin being out 4 weeks just throws a wedge into all of
Huge
this.
wrench. Yeah.
But a wrench into all of this. But yeah, I'm interested to see how it plays out because again, life is funny. Like this is the arguments that have been going on, and all of a sudden, those two absolutely need each other. And
The basketball gods are always watching, Raj. What do I always say, bro?
Yeah.
We are like, bro, Austin's gonna have a great year, all-star, maybe all NBA, and then the basketball guys are like, oh yeah, watch this. Now Luke and LeBron have to figure it out. And I still hope Austin makes it back. I don't know if he'll get the All-Star now because he's gonna miss a month before the All-Star game, but I think he's gonna get like the fan vote because I think a lot of people are like, a lot of people even outside of Lakers fan base are like, no, dude, this kid is like the real deal. Like he's really good and he's doing it without him. So it'll be interesting to see. The one thing I will say, Raj, is it seems like the needs for each lineup. Like I know people have talked about the roster needing changes, so we don't need to get. This is not trade season to get into right now, so we can wait till February or late January for that.
Mhm.
But like I think when you think about like when you juxtapose the two lineups that people have been using, the one with Marcus Smart instead of LeBron, and then with LeBron instead of Marcus Smart, like I think the only thing I really take from that, what it illustrates to me, is like Marcus Smart is a very defensive minded player, like very defensive minded. I wouldn't even say he's like a super great rebounder. I would just say he's very defensive minded. His impact is always going to be in some form defensively, whether it's ball pressure, creating turnovers, just disrupting, making stuff more difficult. And I think the difference that a single person can make to a 5-man group, especially one that has great offensive synergy like it has, is it can make a difference for the Lakers. And so this is not to say that like Smart's impact is bigger than LeBron's, but I think it does give you an example of when LeBron finally does, or when that lineup, somebody in that lineup that eventually is in that lineup decides to be like, nah, I'm going to take it upon myself to be a more defensive minded player and focus on the defensive side. It can have a huge impact on the performance of that lineup. And some of that has to do with ability. Some of that has to do with care and effort. And I think JJ Redick is trying to get that entire lineup to have more care and effort defensively, so that it turns into one of those rising tide lifts all boats sort of things.
Mhm.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens. So let's just transition to the next thing, that's sort of the final topic that we have, which is, what do you think is going to happen? Like what Austin's out for 4 weeks. People have been clamoring for a starting lineup change. I don't think JJ's come out and said that there's going to be a starting lineup change. What do
No.
you think? What needs to happen? What do you think is going to happen from here?
I would bet that they just start Marcus Smart for Austin and
Okay.
keep Rui, LeBron, and Ayton together. I'm guessing that's how they try it out. And if they lose to the Kings, I think you get maybe another wholesale change, but I think they give this a shot to start. Will that work? We'll see. I think Smart will help. Again, I think the way JJ sees it, Vinay, is Marcus Smart is shooting 30% from three. Houston did not guard him for a lot of stretches. They very easily doubled off of him. Now, the interesting part was Vando and Smart were one of the few positive pluses in the game, which I think shows you kind of what all that other stuff does. But again, I think it shrinks the floor for a guy like Luka, and shrinking the floor for LeBron and Luka with Austin out makes life that much more difficult on the offensive end. And I think that's a balance that is why I think Rui will continue to start. I'd be really interested. Like, I think Vando is ascending right now into the regular season, right? He is you don't want players to peak in December or January, but it does feel like Vando is hitting whatever his peak as a player is, right? He's shooting like 50% from three the last 3 or 4 games, whatever it is. Now all those are butt naked shots, but in any case, he's still open and hitting them. But it feels like he's ascending into like this is the player they extended, right? Nobody extended Vando thinking he has a 3-point shot. That was not the case when he was extended at that time. No one thought like, hey, this is a guy that can hit a three, but he did all other stuff. And I thought he did all that fantastic. Like I loved watching him guard KD. There were some plays like you mentioned where he didn't chase over correctly. Again, is that scheme? Is that laziness? Tough to analyze in a moment, but I think his effort and motor kind of stood out. And I wish he played more on Christmas, honestly. But that's what I think happens for now. I think Rui and Smart Smart comes in for Austin and everything else stays the same. What do you think happens?
I think there's going to. Sorry, before I answer, do you think that there'll be a better defensive effort from that starting group outside of Smart?
I would guess yes against the Kings. I would guess a 3-game losing streak plus whatever this media thing was. JJ used one of his tech players in the media things, and so
he pulled that card.
He pulled the card, and I don't believe you can play that card very many times in a regular season.
This is also very true. Yeah.
So you pull it now, it better yield some type of result. Because if not, then I think you get into dangerous territory. But I think they give better effort. And again, the Kings are not, they have some offensive players, but I think Levine might be out. They're easier team to guard. Yeah. So if you're able to lock in, but what do you think happens?
So I think you're going to get improved defense from the team.
Okay.
But I don't know how long that's going to last for. I'm 50-50 with you on the starting lineup. I don't know if Rui is going to continue starting.
Really? Okay.
I think it's possible that he could get pulled
for
as soon as the next game. I think he's going to get pulled for LaRavia if he gets pulled.
Wow.
And the reason why I'll say this is because you can't start Vando. People are like, oh, why can't you start Vando? Just start Vando. He's the second best defense player. The reason why you can't start Vando is because JJ doesn't want to start off games allowing the opposing team to double Luka to start the game, because that nukes basically your pick and roll action from the start, because they'll just play off of Vando. Now you're running a 2-man pick and roll with Ayton and Luka, and there's going to be a third guy like just basically standing there because they're going to ignore Vando.
Or Vando's the open guy, right? Basically.
Or Vando's the open guy. Yeah, exactly. And so I think if they do a starting lineup change, this is my guess. This is not my guess, but it's also what I hope is going to happen. That if he does do a starting lineup change, it's going to be LaRavia instead of Vando. That's the first thing I think is that it happen. If he does a starting lineup change. The other 50-50 part is he doesn't do a starting lineup change, but you get more defensive engagement. Braun and Ayton didn't rebound very well at all. Rui historically hasn't had a large volume of rebounds. You get better rebounding effort, box out effort, more clean execution on that part. But the question is, how long does that last for? Does it last for one quarter? Does it last for one shift? Does it last for one game? I don't know, because after the Kings, we play the Pistons. I think the Pistons are a phenomenal team this year.
Incredible.
And they are another team that will beat the crap out of you for 48 minutes with every person that they have on the glass, on defense, all that sort of stuff. So I'm not sure how long it'll last. So if he doesn't change his starting lineup, the hope is that he has a very short leash on that trio of guys, because I do think that trio is a problem in terms of all the things that we described, foot speed and stuff like that. Now, over the course of the next 4 weeks, I don't know what's going to happen, Raj. I'll be very honest. I don't. I don't, not in terms of wins, losses. I think we're going to win games. But I also do think a lot of these wins might be ugly wins. They're not going to be games where like we're doing end-to-end, no stress, kick my feet up blowouts. Because even though we have Luka, we have LeBron, I think a lot of teams like the Memphis Grizzlies, like the New Orleans Pelicans, with these young guys that want to make a name for themselves, they're going to be try-harding through the entire game. And just like the Phoenix game that we won without Austin playing, you saw what happened. Lakers were up double digits, and in like 2 minutes, the Suns try-harded their way right back into the game. And I think teams are going to try to do that throughout the entire. I think that's what the scouting report is going to say. When Luka starts walking up the ball, that's your opportunity to start running. When LeBron is in the post and he misses it, that's the opportunity to start running. So I don't know what the long course is going to be in regards to it, but I think at least in the immediate, you're either going to get a starting lineup change or you're going to get some improved defensive effort, but it might be diminishing. I don't know how long it'll last for.
Yeah, I'll go back to your Laravia point I mentioned before the season. That's a guy that I would have loved to seen with the starters.
For the folks that don't know, Raj has told me offline. He asked me the question, do you think Jake LaRavia could break into the starting group? And I said, I don't know. Like, I don't know if he's earned that equity. And I think he might get a chance to do it now. He's a great offensive rebounder, Raj. Like, he does a good job creating extra opportunities for the Lakers.
He's not the percentage shooter Rui is. He also has a very shy shot. Like he'll only
he'll
shoot
pass
if
up
he's
shots.
if he's wide open, which again I would love for him to kind of be a little bit more of a gunslinger. But everything else is exactly what I want. He's usually always in the right place defensively. Even if he gets beat off the dribble, he kind of knows what this correct scheme is. If you want to force a guy right, he usually does. You mentioned the offensive rebounding. I think he's a good defensive rebounder too. Always looks around to box out. Something I've been, really, pleased with his play. And he'll have a 5-point box score, like, points, rebound, assist, but he'll just have impacted the game positively. And he's a low touch guy, to your point, that very low touch, high impact. Marcus Smart, if you remember, we had this Smart versus Rui conversation before the season started, right? And I think I was kind of proposing for Rui because of Smart's health. But also, one of my concerns was Smart's shooting, Finney. Not a large sample, but 20 games is quarter of the season. On open defender 4 to 6 feet away, open threes, which is all Smart really shoots. 27% on those type of shots. Open
not
threes.
Good. Yeah, not good.
And so teams now what I'm watching is teams are learning more and more, hey, we don't have to guard him. Now his 8 threes that he hit in the game, I forgot which game it was. He hit 8 threes and the Lakers were blown out anyway.
I think it was the Suns. It was one of the Suns blowout games.
Oh, the Suns home game. Yes, where Dylan Brooks hit every shot. But Marcus Smart had 8 threes. So, I'm not removing that right now. But if you remove that, obviously this drops. But 27% on open threes. Teams are not guarding him. And to your point of shrinking the floor, teams doubling Luka Doncic, that's one of my concerns as well. I kind of, if that's the case, I would just go Vando with it. And I think, but I agree with you though. I don't think they want to start Vando also for the reasons you mentioned. And I also think they don't trust Vandos to be healthy, like be able to play stints like that consistently. And third,
Koopa is right. Koopa in the chat is saying that he hit the 8 threes against the Spurs. I think he's right. It wasn't the Suns. It was the Spurs.
Oh, the Spurs. Yes. Another game we were blown out, or, we lost by double digits, I believe, at home. But yeah, I'm concerned about Smart shooting, and then obviously Vando, and then Luka doesn't look completely back to health either to me, and that's something I think they're gonna have to monitor. And so he looks a little, and he does this at times, but kind of limping here and there. These like wear and tear stuff for him. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of transpires. But got to beat Sacramento. I wouldn't call it a must win, but I mean,
they got to beat Sacramento because like that's like we don't like it's a must win because if you don't do that, then like we're having like serious. Like assuming nobody got hurt or something like that, like something crazy happened, like it's gonna be bad. You can't lose to Sacramento. Like people are like, oh yeah, you can split out. So you could split a 1-1. You're playing Memphis back to back. They're a scrappy young team. They might lose one. I was like, no. I was just like, no, you cannot lose to Memphis. Like if there's one thing the Lakers have done correctly this year is they don't lose to bad teams. Like they might lose to good teams, but they're not losing to bad teams. And so if all of a sudden we start losing to bad teams, then that becomes now we're concerned about something else. Shell, I want to read this super chat from Shell, also a member of the Detailers Club. Appreciate you, Shell, for the $10 super chat. He is a big fan of my conspiratorial takes. And so he wanted to ask what my most conspiratorial take for the remainder of the season.
These are thoughts by Finney only.
I should
preface this.
Before I do this, all thoughts in regards to conspiracy are solely the property of me and my thought and my brain, and
Yes.
not representative of Raj or anything that he thinks. I think the most conspiratorial take I probably have for the Lakers, I don't know if I really have anything conspiratorial. I think the only thing that's conspiratorial that I think is going to happen that's related to the Lakers, but not like won't happen maybe this season, is I think Giannis is going to come out and say that the Lakers are on his list of destinations that he wants to potentially go to. I think right now he hasn't told anybody, and the only teams that you heard about are the Heat and New York. I think are the only teams. I think you're going to find out at some point this season that the Lakers are one of those teams that he's actually interested in, and I don't know how we get to that, but that would be my conspiracy, and I think that is going to set the stage for, hey, maybe it's okay if we let LeBron go in the offseason because this guy wants to be here, and we should maybe wait for those 3 first-round picks that are going to be available in the summer of the offseason. So we'll see. But I think that story will be related to the Lakers to some degree. So I'll be interested in seeing how that
Yeah,
goes.
it's not really a conspiracy take, but I've seen this floated around, and look, I don't think the Lakers are gonna do this at all, but this is kind of how the NBA works. Lakers own their pick this year, right? And so Boston has kind of moved in this direction. They've like obviously they won the title, but 2 years ago, but they looked at it. Tatum's out for this year.
Mhm.
We're just gonna go get a high draft pick. I don't think Lakers are doing this at all or in this mind
Well,
right now.
Boston's been good, so now they don't have a draft pick. Like their draft pick's going to be low.
Oh,
Like they've been really good
right,
this year. Yeah.
right. I mean, they'll get. I mean, they're not gonna be like a top. Or what seed are they? The fourth seed or?
Yeah, they're better than, but they're not a
Oh yeah,
they're a playoff
they're
team.
the
Yeah.
third. Oh wow, they're the third seed. Wow, I
Yeah.
didn't realize how high they were. They're a few games above Orlando. Okay, yeah, but I think the thinking, at least the logic was, we're gonna be bad
Yeah.
enough to at least get some type of draft pick. But you're right, they're too good for that. So I don't think, like, Austin's scheduled only to be out 4 weeks, and I'm hoping it's only 4 weeks. But again, this is a big stretch going forward. I think it's gonna dictate a lot of how this goes. If they lose against the Kings, Vinny, I think all lineup stuff is on the table.
Oh yeah.
I think drastic measures are able to be made in ways that they aren't right now. But you lose against the Kings, you lose 4 in a row, especially if we get blown out by the Kings, which again, I think people laugh at the Kings, but they've been playing better basketball as of late. I think they found some stuff. They finally started playing Malik Monk for some reason that he was not playing earlier in the year.
Mhm.
Keon Ellis went from, dude, why are you not playing, to a starter on their team. I don't understand anything the Kings do logically, but any case, DeRozan,
They have some moving parts coming from what I've heard. There's a couple of guys that they're going to be moving around.
offloading. Okay.
Yeah. So I think
Okay.
there's a little bit of auditioning happening right now for some of those players that are
Yeah,
on.
I mean, 8-23. What a time to shine your best pieces, I guess. But yeah, so again, I think they're a team that you're gonna have to at least. Toughest thing is getting out of a losing rut. So I think the
Yeah.
Lakers are gonna have to at least play hard to beat that team. Because the game after that is the Detroit Pistons, who I believe are still the 1 seed. Yeah, they are 24-7. In a really good road team, 11-5 on the road. So team, they're kind of, are they like Houston East a little bit, where except they have the ball, they have the on-ball creation in Cade, but
Yeah.
very
I don't know if they're as defensively good, but they are like right there. They're like not like they have Asar, they have
mm-hmm.
Jalen Duren. Tobias is not like a crazy defender, but he's like, he tries. They have a couple guys that have come off the bench for them. That have been really nice stories. Dennis Jenkins, Chaz Lanier. They start like Duncan Robinson. I don't know if they're still starting him, but they have like Duncan Robinson playing like
Yeah,
that Malik Beasley role. Cade is having a phenomenal season. Like,
yeah, he's been awesome.
honestly, like if I had to give an MVP pick, that's probably not a trendy pick. It would probably be Cade, because I don't think anybody had Detroit as a 1 seed this season. But regardless, like you said, they played Detroit. That's an important team that you should try to win against. Then you play Memphis twice. That's another team that they're not really playing for anything. So they have really nothing to lose when they play against us. So they can play as hard as they want, and play as loosely as they want. So yeah, I'm with you. I think it'll be very interesting to see how the team responds to what happened today. The conversation that JJ had with them, whatever defensive principles come back. All the stuff that JJ, we didn't cover it, but the stuff that JJ said, I thought it was great, but we have to see it. Like I think we're kind of past that point. Again, we're not in like dire circumstances, but we're just at a point where it's just like, all right, JJ, you're telling us defense is the priority. Then I've got to see you have rotations and lineups that have some semblance of defense. Like, I can't see lineups that are like all offensive lineups, and then we're complaining about them not defending very well. Stuff like that.
Are those lineups possible? Like, can you? How gentle does he have to be? Right? Is that I think this is an interesting way to close this. Is how much of this is skill versus ability? Like,
Sure.
in my opinion, like I think JJ gets a lot of flack for a lot of this stuff, but I think he's also in a tough spot where it's like, okay, I can play Vando and Smart, but then my offense craters,
Mm-hmm.
or I could play Rui and at least get 3-point shooting, but my point of attack defense goes to hell. Gabe
Mm-hmm.
Vincent is now on the bench, but even when Gabe Vincent was healthy, it's like, all right, Gabe at least gives me enough two-way play that I can live on both ends. I think how gentle he has to be kind of shows how difficult of a situation this is. You also have political stuff that you have to, not political from like who's making what type of money, who's expected to play. I think there's a lot of stuff at stake where the lineups, I don't expect Vinay to be that different, right? Like I just don't see where the rotation changes. Now, a point we didn't get to, which I would love to know why this is the case. I think we have two-way guys that would help now. Like I think Chris Magnon would help. Kobe Buffkin just dropped 40 tonight. Like I'd love to see him get a shot. Adu Thiero, we didn't talk about him at all. I would love to see him get a shot just as an athlete, but
these would be the teams to do it against. Memphis is a team that you could play them against. Kings are probably a team because they play like they're really young guys. D. Clifford, Keon Ellis is still kind of young. Maxime Reynaud is their center or something like that. Like they play young guys. Go play your young guys against these guys. It's not like these guys are super pro vets that know how to navigate against them. I'm with you. I think that this would be a good time for them to dip into some of that youth.
Yeah, no, for sure. I would have loved to seen Adu guard Amen for possessions. We were down 20, whatever. Like throw in Adu Thiero, just see what he has. He gets pulled very quickly on any offensive kind of when he's not in the right place, but I just don't think there's any there's no replacement for experience in this. Like just gotta let him feel the burn and see how those burn recoveries go. Like there is no, you don't get to go out with a burn suit and go, all right, like go ahead, go play and make mistakes without getting burned. I would love to see him get a shot, but I think we're far away from that so far.
Yeah. So I'm with you. I think some of that has to be trial by fire. I think JJ should be really good about looking at the schedule. The coaching staff should be good about looking at the schedule and being like, okay, we can play some of these young guys in some of these spots and some of these lineups if we're trying to preserve legs. I'm with you. I think it'll be interesting to see how gentle or rough he is with some of these line changes. Like I would expect a short leash when you're not playing defense. Like at some point you're going to have to do that. And a short leash. Now, how often does he do it? Like you said, he's already pulled that card post game now after the Rockets game. How many times can you discipline your guys publicly or privately, like before they stop responding? And even before all of that, we're gonna have to see how they respond in this Kings game after the practice. So it'll be interesting to see, Raj. Obviously we're all sad about Austin being out for as long as he's going to be out, but we still have two max tier stars on our team. LeBron may be 41 in year 23, but we also know he's very capable of putting his stamp on a game when he puts his mind to it. Luka is Luka. He's spectacular all the times. And so it'll be, they just have to figure it out. And whether that's working together or working, in separate fashion, whatever it has to be, defense, offense, we expect our 2 stars to be able to lead the rest of the guys. And I think that's where it starts. It has to start with LeBron and Luka. And I think that's a nice way to sort of end the pod, because we talked about the discord that has been happening between those two respective fan bases. And so up until Austin comes back, they got to figure it out. And if they got to fake their way through being buddies, and the fan bases on the Twitter have to fake their way through being buddies until Austin comes back to help kind of cool everybody off and bridge the gap between those two guys, then so be it. But the Lakers are 19-10. Like they're it's not like they're 10-19, and they're closer to the the worst seed in the Western Conference. They're very much in the hunt to try and push for a 2 seed, and so they have to keep at it and not allow all the outside noise or the injuries, to the best of their ability, affect their actual basketball play on the court. So it'll be interesting to see how that happens. It's interesting to see how they respond. Interesting to see how JJ coaches. If for nothing at all, Raj, even when we win, there is no lack of drama for us to experience and discuss. So it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see how this all works out. And as always, for all the folks that are able to join us, we appreciate you. I'll make sure I get this up on Apple and Spotify. We hope that whenever you listen to this, you're having a wonderful day or a wonderful evening. And if nothing else, we'll catch you in the next one.